Five, four, three.
Good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm your host, Meffistoe, and always with me, my hetero life mate. Oh, my feelings. How are you doing, sir?
Good, how you doing, bud?
What is the Reel McCoy, you might ask? The Reel McCoy is a weekly movie podcast where we ask you to go and watch a movie. You watch it, come back to us, and we break it down, we nerd out on it, and we geek it out, and we spread it all around on a nice little plate of hors d'oeuvres, and we just eat it. Just eat it.
Okay, Weird Al.
This week we are finishing up our parody month. Kind of like a joke low start with that Mr. On My Feelings brought up months and months ago, and we took it to heart. We produced it, we done it, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So this week we are covering Scary Movie. Oh boy, how many times have you watched it this week?
I suffered through it 3 times.
3 times.
I wanted to get the proper notes. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You're a better man than I am. You're better man than I am. Oh, I only watched it once on the Monday watch party where I asked everybody to grab a copy and come and watch a movie with me. It was not as fun as I remembered it. Maybe because I remember all the jokes. We're gonna discuss this backstage, and please share what you said to me backstage. I'm not gonna,
I remember distinctly enjoying this when I was a teenager, specifically because of the humor was basically essentially focused for the mind of a teenage boy.
Oh yeah.
I just genuinely just did not enjoy it. I really didn't. I didn't laugh once. And
in 3 times.
Yeah, just I got a smirk or a snicker, but
yeah,
no genuine good laughs out of it.
I was actually surprised by the slew of stereotypical things.
Oh yeah,
from certain characters, and I was like, oh, okay, this is 2000. This is like, we're trying to ushering this new era. However, we're still in 1995 in terms of jokes, stereotypes, and all that stuff, which is, it ain't bad. But I feel like watching this for the very first time will make you ha, 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 ha. And watching it for the 10th time, not so much. Not so much, which kind of makes it a classic, but not classic. Because a classic movie, you would say, I want to watch this again and again and again.
Which, oddly enough, I actually enjoyed watching Austin Powers again, and I've seen Austin Powers way more times than I've seen Scary Movie.
And you don't even like Bond, and Scary Movie is based on movies that you
horror films that I
love,
love,
horror movies.
Which that was again the fun part about going through. It was like, oh, here's a point, here's a point, here's a point, here's a point.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we'll say hello to the chat. Hello, YouTube. Kenzo UK, welcome, member of the Legion of Memers. I will jump on your show. Well, I will not jump on if I'm not invited, but I will be there after the show. And of course, we'll say hello to Rumble and all you Rumbleers out there. I don't even know. Let's check how many people are watching. 100. No, just kidding. Right. About 20. Which is okay. Awesome. So we'll start the show. Was what we do every week. By the way, Jacob from Society Reviews was supposed to be here. He might even show up. I'll send him the link. We'll see. We love Jacob. All right. We start every show where we turn to All My Feelings, get the lowdown on everything behind the screens.
Action, take 2.
Take it away, bud.
Now, what is interesting is I do have to recant something I did say before. I did laugh out loud once. That's due to at the very ending. When we get to it, I will point it out. And it's they're mocking themselves. That's what was funny. That was it. But you know how you mentioned how this feels so very 1995, 1996-ish on the comedy? Well, it was developed by Sean and Marlon Wayans with 2 writers from the canceled Wayans Brothers show.
In Living Colors?
No, the Wayans Brothers.
Oh,
they had a show.
That's right.
Yeah, Sean and Marlon they had their
own
show. Miramax, unfortunately, was actually working on another script at the time. It was Shriek If You Know What You Did Last Summer, or something along those lines. And they decided to make an amalgamation of the two. So they brought on the writers from that to work with the guys who were writing Scary Movie. But Marlon Wayans went in and scrubbed the entire script of everything that those guys added to it.
Ah, interesting.
WGA still gave them credit for writing it because they had to, because they were brought on. Just because someone else decided to take it away doesn't mean they had to take away your effort. So, yeah, you can kind of see where.
And with the impending Writers Guild, that's very, very apropos.
Oh, yes, yeah. So Anna Ferris was actually working at an ad agency and was about to move to London before she got cast in this film.
To London, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, she's an American, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was working in LA, yeah, but she was about to move to the ad agency's office in London to work there instead.
Okay.
So there are multiple people up for the role of, oddly enough, of Drew Decker, Carmen Electra's character.
Okay.
Jenny McCarthy, who was later in another, I think it was Scary Movie 4 or 5.
The one where she's blind and she goes outside to shit, but it's really inside the house or something. I don't remember.
I believe so.
That's 4. I think that's the one.
Melissa Joan Hart.
Okay.
And they were turned down for the role. They wanted to bring on Carmen Electra because they had worked with Carmen Electra on other things, and they wanted to have that Playboy joke. It would work with Jenny McCarthy because Jenny McCarthy was in Playboy before, so it would still work.
Wasn't Carmen Electra already Did her spread? I mean,
yes, but they kept Carmen Electra because they could get Carmen Electra for cheaper, and also they wanted Carmen Electra in there because she was actually a newer version.
a newer,
the Playboy.
Okay.
So
Jenny
she was
McCarthy
bigger at the time,
just 2-3 years older too much for the Playboy crowd.
Yeah, so this is after the Jenny. She had a show. What?
Remember when Playboy was
a
an
thing?
actual thing?
Yeah, and this was also after Jenny McCarthy lost her TV show that was on MTV.
Oh, okay.
So her star was fading. Carmen Electra was coming up, and after this, Carmen Electra got a reality TV show and all that stuff. So
yeah,
you could see, yeah. The original tagline of the poster was "No shame, no mercy, no sequels."
They got that wrong hard.
Then it was funny. The funny thing is that Scary Movie 2, probably one of the funniest things about it is the tagline of their poster. We lied. Like,
great.
Okay.
Great.
For this movie being pretty bad, it was such a gigantic success. It is just mind-blowing. $19 million budget, which is high even for a B comedy at the time or a horror at the time. $278 million gross. That's astronomical return on investment. It's crazy.
Yeah. I wonder what greenlit the sequel.
Yeah. So it was named Scary Movie in homage to Scream, because whenever they were actually doing the write-ups for the first Scream film, that was the title that they had listed.
Yeah, and we talked about it on the podcast. I remember now.
Yeah. Jared Leto was originally cast to play Bobby.
Okay.
But he declined to, oddly enough, to be in Darren Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream.
Which was slightly better.
Which, oddly enough, also had Marlon Wayans in it.
I don't remember him. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
The role of Brenda was offered to Aaliyah, who was originally going to accept it. But she found out that her role, her friend, Brandy Norwood, was actually in I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it was going to be mocking her character. So Aaliyah turned down the role. Now, had Aaliyah possibly taken the role and then been in follow-up Scary Movies, she may have not gotten into the plane crash that killed her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's dark.
Yes, as one of the other fun bits, Little Kim was also originally offered the role of Brenda.
Could you imagine the role of
not, but wow, it would be great.
Could you imagine Little Kim sitting in that theater with, like, remember it's that time where she had the boobie out with the big pasty, going into the like Grammys or whatever. It was that time. It was that version of Little Kim. Yeah. So she was nuts. Yeah, I mean, sexy nuts, but nuts.
Alicia Silverstone was offered the role of Cindy first.
Okay.
Read 3 pages of the script and turned it down.
Oh, Alicia. Yeah. How things turned on you so fast.
Yes, because this was right after the bomb that was Batman and Robin.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And she was riding high. She had Clueless, then Batman and Robin, and then...
No, she was riding high off Clueless, then Batman and...
and then zero things to do. Zero.
Yes. No, DK, I could see that too. I could see little Kim being real hood about it.
Oh, yeah. Dude, she would have killed that theater. Killed it. In the good way.
This is a funny note. And it would have actually played in perfectly with the other thing that actually made me laugh out loud. The only thing, really. In an early script, it was actually going to be Damon Wayans, who is the killer. And he was the killer that killed Sean and Marlon in there.
Okay.
Because they didn't cast him in the film.
Okay.
Because
No.
Keenan
Yeah.
Ivory way even in the film.
Yes, for like a
But
split
he's in
second.
it.
Yes.
The principal was played by David A. Lander.
Okay.
Who was Squiggy in Laverne and Shirley. If you notice in the principal's office, there's a big Shots beer poster.
I did
wall,
not notice it.
And that's the brewery. That's the infamous bottle brewery scene from Laverne and Shirley.
Okay.
So.
I know the scene. Again, Laverne and Shirley is so out of my league.
Well, see, they were spoofing. They were spoofing on the fact by bringing in an old sitcom actor that Scream did with Henry Winkler being the principal in the original Scream.
Oh, okay. Now I get it. I get it. It's funny. I get it.
This note is
over my
funny,
head.
but it's just mean. Jennifer Coolidge was offered the role of Mrs. Mann.
Who's Jennifer Coolidge?
The actress?
Is it Stifler's mom?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I get it.
It's kind of mean.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, everything else we will talk about during the film.
All right. We talked about Henry Winkler, and this came up this week, and I have to show you this. This is, of course, a new casting for Ridley Scott's Alien. Alien.
So it's instead of would it technically be then jumping the xenomorph?
Exactly. Wait, I've got.
Gotcha.
Got it. Cool. Let's begin from the beginning. By the way, my laugh out loud moment in this whole movie comes literally after the kind of intro. So, the aptly titled Drew, I'll do this. Drew, they chose the name because of, I'm guessing, Drew Barrymore's like most famous role as this girl, getting the call from the actor. I'd like to see who I'm killing, or blah, 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 all that stuff. And with
what's your favorite scary movie? And she says Kazam.
Kazam, because have you seen Shaq playing that?
That's not a horror film. You've never seen Shaquille O'Neal's acting.
Exactly. I have seen Shaquille O'Neal's acting. I've seen Kazam in the theaters. Could you imagine?
Movie. That's a bad film. It's almost as bad as Steel. That's also a very bad film.
A very, very bad film. So Carmen Electra has the back and forth with him, and she drops
the bit about Prince.
The bit about Prince, because I think she dated Prince, right? I wasn't sure when I watched it with the people, but I think she dated Prince. But I'm not sure.
She did. She also dated Dennis Rodman.
And then, the most famous one, she dated Dennis Rodman. She married Dennis Rodman for like a few months until that got dissolved because it was a crazy Vegas fucking drunken wedding, and probably a good thing. Yeah. And it all kind of spindled into that. But also they got her to do the Baywatch slow-mo run, which is just, to show you, oh, by the way, we casted a Baywatch babe in this. Here, notice me, senpai. The joke I like from this is when he stabs her for the first time and takes it out. He takes out the implant. It was like, oh, and I've got nothing to add to that.
They do have something right after that too. When she's running down the road and she gets hit by the car,
by her parents.
Yeah, with the guy. Well, her dad
getting a blowy. Yeah.
What's interesting is the fact that that's actually a parody of two different horror films, but the most notable one that's very, very very down the line. I mentioned the years before, and you're like, I've never even heard of that film. It was Thinner. That was the whole
you did
premise of
mention
how he
that.
got cursed, was because that happened, because he hit one of the people from the tribe while he was getting blown down.
Who directed Thinner, by the way? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
It wasn't the Wes Craven, Carpenter, those guys, right?
No.
It was like an indie guy.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember having this conversation
with
you.
No, it was somebody
way back in the day.
It was an action film director, I believe. But anyway, no, it's one of Stephen King's lesser known films. But yeah, that's like, oh, it's a Thinner reference. That's weird.
Yep. And then we get, like I said, we get the sort of, it follows the more of the Scream kind of progression of things at this point.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, it like deviates into I Know What You Did Last Summer.
These the most prevalent ones.
The big two is Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, where the characters are intertwined. Some of them belong to Scream. Some of them kind of belong to I Know What You Did Last Summer. Mm-hmm. It's sort of an amalgamation of those two with teeny tiny references, mostly later horror films rather than just going too far back. But
what's interesting
moments.
though is there was actually supposed to be a cameo at the end of the film where Jamie Lee Curtis was supposed to come on and hide in the closet, a la Halloween.
Yeah, that would have been great. What I like about this is they kind of touch upon the relationship between Sydney's, like Scream Sydney's dad and this Sydney's dad, which here he's like a piece of shit. And in the other one, I don't remember if we actually saw him. He was on the phone. He was on the phone saying for business.
Yeah.
And then you saw him right at the end.
And because he had been kidnapped. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, we got Sydney and Bobby kind of getting it on. And of course, the old Dawson's Creek music coming on.
That's what you were mentioning last week. You're like, oh yeah, well James Vanderbeek shows up. Like, no, you're thinking it's
because I totally misremembered it. And I was like, that's what was in my head. Going to the party and then getting it on is then James Vanderbeek kind of shows up because I don't know, Varsity Blues. It's like, no, that was Scary Movie. You're wrong.
Because he even says, "Oh, wrong set."
Wrong set.
But there is a line that Cindy uses when talking about the film, because it's like saw The Exorcist, and I thought we could come over and make our own movie. And she says, "Oh, one little bumpity bump." Mm. That is actually a line that they cut from the original screenplay.
How did they know that it was cut? How did they get the access to get to that point?
Because so many of them had read for lines for parts in Scream.
Yeah. Gotcha.
They cut that and said they're like, oh, so you want to make some raw footage. That's what they used in Scream.
Okay. So, and then we have Sydney kind of, Bobby's trying to get it on. He's got the like electric fence, all that stuff. And then he leaves a la the same way because she is a virgin, just like Sydney, because you have to have a virgin character in a horror film.
Well, because she's got to be the final girl.
You got to be the final girl. Exactly. You got to be the final girl. And then when he leaves, it's like, I'm going to give you the PG thing. And when she opens up, it's moobs. It's the old moob. It's the old switcheroo, because you ain't going to see them tits here.
Nope.
And then, of course, you got
introduction to Stoney and Shorty.
Yeah. Shorty.
I always think his name is Stoney because he's a stoner. No, his name's Shorty.
Yeah.
Shorty and Brenda talking about that, and it was like, oh, that's a really bad stereotypical joke. It's like, yeah, but your father's dumb. And she says, so I don't know him.
Exactly. The thing about this is, for the very first time, I kind of disliked Shorty for some reason. To me, it was a hemmed up version to what I remember. I don't know what it is. He seems like he's
I
a
could see
bit
that.
too over the
The
top.
top. Yeah.
Where in the other ones, he's way more mellowed down in terms of being the stoner dude or the stoner black dude. And I don't know what it is. I mean, there are parts in it that it was funny when the masked guy comes over to the stoners and they like goes out, grabs a bong with them and everything gets high with them. But all the rest of the moments, a little bit too hemmed up. And I don't know why it kind of surprised me that it was too hemmed up. Yeah. So
I was going to say, in that shot that you showed right there, if you notice, it said principal, vice principal, coroner.
I didn't, but
you can see it right there. It says coroner.
Yes. And of course, I need to get to the point where I love the most, and is the most stereotypical thing ever. So we
Buffy?
get the no. We get no, Buffy is a bit like it. They literally took her character from American Pie, the Nadia character, and made her an American and way over the top.
Well, and they named her specifically after Sarah Michelle Gellar's character.
Exactly. It's Sarah Michelle Gellar, Buffy reference, and all that stuff. So
and mostly she was also in she's been in so many just horror films that are offshoots of stuff as well.
Who? Yeah. The girl who plays Nadia or Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because really she did a lot of horror? Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. Well, she did she do The Ring?
No, that was
one of those Japanese adaptations to.
Was that The Grudge? Sure. It was The Grudge.
The Grudge. Yeah. That's what it is.
That was Naomi Watts was in The Ring.
Gotcha. So my favorite bit of the whole movie, I'm not even joking, is this. Like, white people dead. We're out of here. They're just going.
This is what white folks are dead. We're getting the fuck out of here.
This is, I don't remember his name. This is from Black TV. White folks is dead. We're getting the fuck out of here. They just fucking leave.
Which in a way is kind of great because it does play on the stereotype, which Scream, oddly enough, was one of the first really big horror films that deviated from form, where it's always the black character that gets killed first. So that's what, like, okay, white people are dying. We got to go.
I didn't even think about in the context of horror is the fact that this is like, oh, this is white people's problem. We're getting the fuck out of here before we get blamed for it. This is this to me was the joke, but the thing is, it actually works on all those different. Like it fits every little thing you say about it. It kind of fits. That's why I love it so much. This is right after we get the sort of the Courtney Cox characters in Scream,
which is so weird because they misplace her name several different times because at one point in time she's Gale Hailstorm, then they call her Gale Thunderstorm at one point.
Yes, but I think that was on purpose, and I don't know. And she plays a very weird version of that character where in Scream, she was just obnoxious on the first one and a little bit more involved in the second one. Where in this one, she's just a literal media whore.
Yeah.
A literal media whore. And of course, when the guys are sitting there in the fountain, literally mirroring Scream, they go on a sort of a flashback to I Know What You Did Last Summer scene.
Yeah. And in between, they have the whole obviously clear side bit where Ray is obviously gay, but at the end, he's like, I'm not gay.
Yeah. And it was like, motherfucker, you're gay.
Yeah.
So they're they're doing a joyride. They hit somebody.
Which is side note. What's really interesting too is that the character who plays Greg is Lachlan Monroe. The big part that he's really known for is Dead Man on Campus, and in Dead Man on Campus, he does a scene where he gets out of car.
Gets out of the car and does that.
Like he goes out of the roof of the car. Yeah. So
I seem to remember they were trying to push him as a lead actor at some point, but it was not going anywhere.
It was in the mid '90s and late '90s. Like he has the look, like oh yeah, you could see him as kind of a leading man. But
but it just doesn't work.
Never panned out for him.
Hey Jacob, how you doing, man?
Hey guys, I apologize for that. I was literally like racing on 400 when I initially got your first message, and I was like, "There's no way I'm getting back here in time." So
no,
it's
all right. Don't worry about it.
Take care of that. It just kind of sucks. So yeah, sorry, because I was actually excited for this one. I was here in the chat last week. We were talking about not another teen movie. I was like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait for scary movie." It's like, yeah, way to go, bro.
All right, cool. You'll be probably the voice of reason here.
Yeah.
All right then.
All right, cool. Well, before we kind of get into it, let's introduce Jacob. Jacob from Society Movies or Society Reviews. It is there on Twitter, and of course, you go and subscribe. Criminally undersubscribe. You get what 600 movie reviews on your website and everything.
On the website, yeah, about 600. On other sites, probably about close to 1,000. So yeah.
Working for Bounding Into Comics, Bounding Into Sports,
Zinger, Society Reviews, a couple other places too. So yeah, I got a whole Rolodex here of places that I'm into.
And working overtime with the whole UFC WWE kind of merger under Endeavor.
Oh yeah, that's been a fun story over the last few weeks. People have been freaking out. I don't know how they're gonna mix both of those because it sounds like they're gonna try to put the two entities together, and it's gonna be an absolute cluster, and people are gonna absolutely hate it. So fun times for me though.
Yeah, dude, you've got plenty of stuff to write about.
Don't they remember when the WWF tried to make real boxing happen with their wrestlers?
There was like a thing called the Brawl for All. It was like 98 or something like that.
It was
where
one
they just
of the
let a
worst
whole.
things they ever did. Yeah.
But there was like, hey, you guys are not in the show right now. You guys just want to put on some boxing gloves and go out there and punch each other. And it was like, okay, sure. And then one guy actually won the whole thing, knocked a few guys out, and then his reward, hey, we're gonna put you in a match in WrestleMania against Butterbean, an actual amateur boxer. Creamed.
That guy wasn't supposed to win.
He wasn't supposed to win either. No.
It was Bart Gunn or Billy Gunn, whichever
one
it was.
Bart Gunn, but it was Layfield was supposed to win the whole thing.
Yes.
Because they're going to push him. And
there was a couple of stories behind that. One, it was JBL, because I think Vince Russo said that he did it because he wanted to see somebody knock JBL out.
That's exactly why Vince. Yeah, that's exactly why Russo pushed it. Yep.
And then you had the Jim Cornettes and the Jim Rosses who thought that, oh yeah, Dr. Death, he'll win this thing. He's the toughest guy I've ever known, and we'll put him in a program against Steve Austin. Then boom, there's ACL. That doesn't happen. So
a whole rigmarole of things, which has nothing to do with movies. Yeah. However, because Jacob is here, we're going to start off big. We're going to start off strong. Let's do Missing Marquee. Missing Marquee is where we take 10 posters of movies, have their text written off, we display them in. Jacob and you out there in the chat will have to guess which movie this is. Let's go.
Okay, so this has to be Carrie, right? Unless this is one of those like off-brand remakes of Carrie.
Correct.
I feel like I should know this one, but I can't remember. It's Jude Law, right?
Hold the phone. Sorry.
I know what that is.
No. Sorry. There we go. Come on, guys, in the chat, please. Chat. Help Jacob out.
Yeah, I have no idea. I forgot.
Oh, My Feelings does not know what it is.
No, I think I know what it is. It's Enemy at the Gates. Because this is about the Soviet sniper. Yeah.
Yes, it is Enemy at the Gates.
Ooh, what is this one?
It's a Western. I'm pretty sure it's not starring Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it in a while.
See,
Paul
in my
is
mind,
here to save you. It is High Noon.
there you go. I was gonna say Magnificent Seven, so I was nowhere remotely close.
Nope.
Okay, I know what this movie is, but I completely forgot the name of it. It's the one with Emilia Clarke and the dude in the wheelchair, but it's like I have no idea what this movie was called. It was such a blur.
I kind of like this movie, but this guy, this actor, in almost every movie I see him in, he dies. There's a movie with him playing opposite Shailene Woodley, and he dies. And he plays in this. I don't remember if it was Dunkirk, and I think he dies in that one too.
Yeah,
He's like the
like I
next
said,
Sean Bean.
I know
this-
the movie, the poster. I just do not remember the name at all.
This is Me Before You.
Oh, okay. So I'm taking that this one is Ratatouille, right?
This is Ratatouille, correct?
Leo in Shutter Island.
Shutter Island, correct.
Why did he make that movie? It's so bad.
I'm gonna punch in because half of the poster is literally the title. It's just blacked
Riot
out.
Control? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's not Riot Control. No.
Don't worry.
A few
Jacob,
of these blunders.
He's made that mistake before where the title was literally written in in kind of transparent text right above it. I'm like, dude, it's right there.
Yeah.
And still wouldn't have gotten it. So I mean,
One of the first mistakes I did was literally Teen Wolf because he literally pulls out his shirt and it literally says Teen Wolf on it.
No,
It is, of course, Soylent Green. Correct. Paul and Doba Fett have it. Correct.
people. No idea what this one is.
I hate this movie.
This is American, right?
It is American. It's Hugh Jackman, Rachel Weisz. Two non-American actors, but the movie is American.
Because yeah, Hugh Jackman did another fairly awful movie fairly recently, but yeah, I can't remember.
Paul is
you're
killing it.
right.
It is The Fountain. Misspelled, but it is okay. Another Western. One of the most famous Westerns.
Now this is one of the spaghetti westerns, correct?
No.
Oh, okay.
After he came back from Italy. So that gives you the kind of the period.
Blanking.
Chat. I know Paul knows this.
Paul better know this one.
Doba Fett, no, it is not High Plains Drifter. No, not High Plains Drifter. It's the other one. He did 3 spaghetti westerns. It is not those. It is, of course, The Outlaw Josie Wells. One last one. It's a terrible movie.
Oh God.
Oh, my feelings know this one.
Oh.
It's really horrendous. It's kind of a movie where you're like, oh, we're going to bring Al Pacino and this is going to give us some high profile. However, Al Pacino
It's gonna
probably
really,
did it for the money.
It's gonna really give Colin Farrell that push that he needs to be a star.
You see,
The
this is why this one's so much harder because you're bringing up movies that people have been trying to suppress in their minds for like the last 30 years.
Yeah, that's fair, Jacob.
It is what it is. Not gonna lie, it's been fun. Cool. Let's go back. No, see, I've opened up too many things, and now I'm
the first part of the turn into the I Know What You Did Last Summer spoof. So they're just in the car. That's where we're at right now.
They're doing the flashback, and then of course I keep forgetting his name. The main dude, the main blonde dude, he beats up
Greg.
Sydney. Yeah. Greg. He beats up Sydney just for mentioning.
Her name is Cindy. It's not Cindy.
Whatever.
No, Cindy's the real girl that this fool was spoofing off of.
And of course, they're doing the whole shtick about him, like putting him in the trunk, not putting him in the trunk, and then dumping his body over the side, but he's still kind of alive when they do it. And let me see. Oh yeah.
Because they go through the whole rigmarole of him getting hit by the car. He gets up, puts the boots back on. I'm okay. And they throw a bottle backward, hits him in the head, knocks him out. You know, the airplane.
And when they do the pack, he literally beats her senseless. And then when they go,
honest, I just gotta be honest real quick. If you guys remember, I Know What You Did Last Summer, the scene that they're spoofing in this movie is only slightly less douchier than the scene that they're referencing to begin with.
Yeah.
I know.
That's her.
I didn't quite like most of I Know What You Did Last Summer. I thought it was
dumb.
It was literally trying to give Sarah Michelle Gellar a movie career. And
I thought it was more trying to make Jennifer Love Hewitt into a mainstream.
It was really.
I think it was both, and it didn't work. It really didn't work because Jennifer Love Hewitt, she did movies, but never really took off. Sarah Michelle Gellar, same. It's like they were writing off their earlier work.
Yeah,
like they were
writing off
Five
a
and
television
Buffy.
success that never translated into movies.
Well, if you notice that too, that Bobby's last name is Bobby Prinz, and it's spelled exactly the same.
Oh yeah,
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, after that whole flashback thing where you got is it Marlon, right? Doing his gay shit.
No, that's Sean.
No, Sean.
Sean.
Yeah.
It's Ray. Just call it Ray.
Ray doing his quasi gay shit. It was like, what?
Oh, well, they're like, if we don't want to go to prison, you know what happens in prison? What happens in the showers in there? And that's when Ray goes, oh, yeah, let's call the cops.
And of course,
We
right
get
after
it,
that,
you're gay.
He was sus before being sus was cool.
Yeah,
exactly. And then we get introduced to the doofy character with the fake Courtney Cox.
Sherry O'Terry. Remember when Sherry O'Terry had a career?
Yeah.
Was
this right after she's
like an SNL chick, right?
Yeah, one of the SNL ones. I think it was one of the girls that, if you remember, Tracy Morgan threw a bunch of his former SNL co-stars under the bus, and she was one of them. So apparently they didn't get along while they were on the show. So
I could see. Yeah, you could kind of see Tracy Morgan doing that though.
Yeah. I'm not deep into the SNL lore because I don't give a fuck.
That was around the time where it was on its last leg anyway, so you didn't miss much.
Yeah.
And then, of course, after we get that introduction, we get the introduction to Doofy / Dewey. What's his face? The non-successful brother that went into wrestling.
David Arquette.
David Arquette. So the David Arquette character.
I like how the went into wrestling was like you're all into go. Yeah, David Arquette.
I remembered Courtney Cox. I just didn't forget. I forgot David. Everybody forgets David Arquette.
Yeah,
because he's the less successful brother. We get the introduction to the class, and I love the part that they kind of spoof of the times. Mary Kay Letourneau at the time with the baby with the guy. He was 13. She's teaching the class, bringing the baby to the dad. Mm-hmm. And of course, when she asks a question, who's the best student in class? What's her name? Heather, referencing Heathers, but also referencing elections with Reese Witherspoon.
Election, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think her name was Heather in that one. I'm not sure, but it's sort of an amalgamation of Heathers and election. Yes. Kind of. That was to me that specific character. Again,
then we have the homage to
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Halloween. I Know What You Did Last Summer. And Nightmare on Elm Street, where she kind of like, it seems like she dozes off. She looks outside. She sees the killer.
Yep.
And notice that how they don't even try to pretend that it's exactly just what the two major films that they're spoofing is. I mean, you got Scream and you got I Know What You Did Last Summer with The Hook.
Yes. So it's sort of the same killer, but amalgamated between the two. That's where they kind of got the reference. Um, I don't know. I thought that it was a little bit contrived, the whole notes thing. It was again, we kind of said it at the beginning, Jacob, that rewatching this again, we were looking forward to it, but nothing really made us ha 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 laugh, except for me, like that the beginning with the black media crew.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was actually pretty good. But I compare this one to the one like you talked about last week, the Not Another Teen movie. And even though that movie had obviously some very let's just say the adult humor to it, this one was going for, I guess, a slightly more vulgar type of humor, understandably so, with the people who were attached to it, like Marlon and Sean, and the guys who were like backing like this film. Like Marlon Wayans, the guy who directed it. So yeah, this one definitely had the more raunchier comedy content, but I think for as far as the actual references that they were going for, I'm not sure if those hit nearly as much as the other one did.
But I was saying that when I watched this for the very first time, I was rolling my ass off laughing. Because again, I'm not a big horror guy, but I did watch Scream and I did watch I Know What You Did Last Summer. So that's where I drawed my references, and it mostly is heavily stated on those two films. But you get here and there little things that maybe you're into or not. So there's the ending, which I know we'll get to it, which is a lot on The Usual Suspects, kind of Kaiser Soze type role reversal. And it was like, that's really not a horror film, but they got it in there.
So you have to ask yourself a couple of questions here too. It's like, one, is it a maturity issue? And two, is it kind of like a dated issue? Like one thing that you've noticed with like a lot of comedy, especially like late 90s, early 2000s, is like that was around that time where just like reference comedy was like kind of a thing. And they were always making references to things that were like the hot topic at the time, right? But when you do stuff like that, when you base your comedy off of that, it makes it extremely dated. So that if you were to rewatch it like years later, it'd be like, oh, most people aren't even going to know like why this specifically like reference is funny. You have to like literally have been there at the time to even know like what these people are. And another thing is that, you know, as time goes on, it's like we were obviously much younger when this film came out, so it's probably a lot funnier to us then than it was now, watching it kind of a little bit more mature, being like, and that one exactly doesn't hit with me the way that it did 22 years ago, or how long it's been.
Well, and Jacob, that was kind of my point too about just my interpretation of it, because I remember when I first saw this film, it was again in 2000, and you know, I was a teenage boy. It's like, this is what that humor, this is what their audience is. They want that vulgar, crude, like, I'm gonna laugh at this because I'm not supposed to see this.
The Seth Rogen fan base.
Yeah. The problem is, if you want to show this to like a young teen right now, so let's say 16, 17, 18, which they can understand all the crude humor in this. If they don't have a basis, if they haven't seen Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, a lot of the humor is going to go way above their head, which means it can't be a classic. Like I kind of said at my intro, and you want those crazy over the top films to be a little bit dated, but referencing something that everybody could see. Like if you put on another teen movie, you don't really have to watch 16 Candles. You don't really have to watch She's All That. You don't have to watch American Pie to get sort of references, or let's say not references, get the humor in not another teen movie. And in this one, you can watch it and it is funny, but it will only hit the mark if you watch the two main movies that is based on.
Yeah. And just real quick, another thing we were just mentioning with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jennifer Love Hewitt kind of being how they were more TV stars that tried to make the jump to movies. It didn't really hit. You could say the exact same thing about the Wayans brothers here in this instance, that we were talking about things kind of like being dated. The Wayans brothers themselves were kind of dated at this time too, because at the time of 2000s, like they had a hit TV show on the WB. I think they were even hosting like the VMAs like this year, so they were pretty big, kind of riding that wave as well. So a lot of the humor in this film is kind of branded to what the Wayans style of humor was back in 2000. And looking back at it 23 years later, I saw this with a couple of things that they had worked on. It's like, yeah, their humor doesn't exactly hold up very well with time either. So,
which I think that, Jacob, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I'll just go ahead and say it. The one joke that actually made me laugh out loud was when Ray was stabbing Bobby at the end. So like, you know what makes me furious? When they cancel shows for no reason and they don't even give them a chance. The Wayans brothers was a good show. That made me laugh.
Yep. But then, of course, if you don't know, like the Wayans brothers, or if you weren't around the Wayans brothers 30 years ago, you just be like, "Oh, okay, I don't get it."
Okay.
You're like, you have to like literally like go on Wikipedia and be like, "Oh, okay, now I get the joke." Yeah.
Well, that and also like the 3-minute "was up"
yeah
portion in the middle of
another very dated reference.
Nobody would get that now. Yeah.
And it's so relevant because it was a Budweiser commercial, and I was like, ha, 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 ha. I was laughing for a whole different reason now.
Someone should have told that Budweiser VP, who totally didn't just get fired a couple of weeks ago, if you wanted to bring new people back to Budweiser, maybe rebuild that campaign. The whole "what's up."
What's up? Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, the Sydney interrogation after the killings and stuff, because her mother, they kind of mention her mother, but they don't really say what it was. And the creepy
meth right there on the far right.
Yeah, it's the I get it. I see it now.
Beard. Yeah.
There's a better shot of it when they go before Doofy comes in, but you can totally see that. Again, if you're not looking for it, you don't actually see it.
Blink and miss it thing. Yeah.
And only when you know that it is supposed to be the it is the Henry Winkler kind of thing, but they did a kind of a flip-flop kind of casting with this, which again goes over your head. The only thing with this principal is the fact that he's a little bit odd in terms of how he speaks. That's about it.
Well, the fact that like you were in that at the very end, Meph, where Laverne and Shirley was playing like reruns. Late night.
I did see Laverne and Shirley, so but I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what the reference audience, of this actor is.
Who the hell would know who Squiggy was?
Yeah. Like I said, what works for him, if you block away the context of that particular thing, is the fact that he's weird and he has a weird accent and he has a very weird voice intonation. That's about it. So
this is why like I said, this is why you can't have your film live and die on dated references.
Yeah, I know. There is a little bit of they're going back and forth, especially with Doofy in the scene. You've got a lot of dick and fart jokes, mostly poop and fart jokes, which, not gonna lie, they're funny, but it won't hold up in the movie. It just sets up Doofy to be
Is there just something like bad about like being kind of like in your 30s and 40s and like listening to fart jokes and be like, I feel bad for laughing at this stage of my life?
Yeah, but if you're young, it's fucking funny. It's fucking funny.
You kind of take a moment of reflection and go, where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
And of course, you get the locker room scene where Greg doesn't really want to go with Ray to the showers because he knows he's a bit of a creep.
Well, no, it's because they find out later. They show him later coming back, and it's because he has a micro penis.
Yeah,
that's why he doesn't want to shower with all the other guys.
Yeah, I guess the fact that he goes out and hits the bag, and when he comes back in, somebody tapes a little micro penis picture, which they kindly show us. So I thank them for it because it was funny. And immediately, what he does,
because he thinks it's Ray, and he goes after Ray, and he goes, "What? You want to get naked and wrestle?"
Not particularly.
Not good. And when Sydney's kind of, yes, this is what happens, and I got the note, and it's all because of the killing, Greg goes apeshit and annihilates her. And Bobby's like sitting there and looking at her, getting annihilated.
Hey, what's funny too is Buffy is laughing, but it's been clearly shown that they've been fucking. So wouldn't Buffy already know he's got a micro penis?
That's exactly what I thought. Which, works on levels, I guess. And of course, once we get to know all the cast, then we need to bump them off. First of all, it's Greg watching his girlfriend Buffy doing a pageant, and she's going to do a dramatic reading, and she sees him getting killed, and that's what makes her win the fucking pageant. And as soon as she wins, Greg is literally gone.
Cindy walks up to her and says, "What? Where's Greg? Where's Greg? Is everything okay?" He says, "Fuck Greg, I won."
Of course, he just got deleted. Therefore, he needs to be deleted from Buffy's mind. I love the fact that
one of the few actors in this movie who actually tried on some level.
Shannon Elizabeth is pretty decent in this film.
Yeah, she is believable as a cold-hearted bitch.
Yeah, well, the whole her sarcasm murder, basically death by sarcasm.
Yeah. Yep. Which literally comes up next. There's the Anna Ferris shaving everything, including her mustache and beard, evidently.
Then she takes the razor and goes,
"Yeah."
Okay.
And I was like, just show her naked and get over with. I mean, it's not one of my favorite actresses, but I'll take it. But because he's calling her and he's in the house, she's all stressed out, but he hides under the couch or behind the couch, which, hey, come on. It made me chuckle. It literally made me chuckle. It's not a big ha-ha moment, but it made me chuckle. And then he goes out behind the...
he tries to roll under the rug and goes, "Nah, that's not going to work."
And then he goes behind the curtain, but he's like, "I can still see you." And
by the way, the newer Scream movies are still using that gag of, "Oh, I wonder where the killer is. Is he behind this door?" Yes, he's behind the door. Like we know. Like,
the other one too that they utilize that I think that was great because I'm like, okay, that's a good riff on Scream. How essentially Ghostface is always bumbling around, falling over shit at some point in time because it's supposed to be he's not a professional killer. Like they're typically not serial killers.
Yeah.
Later on in the movie, obviously, because they have a set pattern, but they're always fumbling. They always get hit by something. Either the final girl or one of the other protagonists is like throwing something at them, or they fall downstairs, or something gets thrown at them from downstairs. It's a reoccurring thing in every single one of the Scream films. If you watch it, at some point in time, Ghostface just eats it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And the thing with this is, it's funny that in Hot Fuzz, a movie that came out 7 years after, sort of the ghost face fumbling kind of thing happens in that movie a little bit better than what this movie does.
Yeah.
And it's a fun little thing, but it kind of works. I don't know. It's so hard for me to, throughout this month, it's very hard to cover these comedy movies because you're trying to explain jokes and where they're coming from. And
you all know if you have to do that, it's not very funny.
Yeah. The thing with this is, if you're not laughing from most of these jokes anyway, it's really hard to like finagle this whole thingamarong. So they have the sort of mirroring the scenes where Sydney gets attacked for the very first time, kind of thinks it's her boyfriend, which she finds out later it is her boyfriend. And she thinks it's Bobby. although Doofy is giving you the first kind of hint that it's him, but you don't suspect him because you've watched Scream, right?
Mhm.
This movie is based on you're watching Scream, and if you have watched Scream, the twist at the end kind of makes sense why it's a twist. And if you haven't watched Scream, the twist at the end does not make sense at all. At all.
Well, that's why even this film mocks it. Like, did Scream make sense? Did what I Know What You Did Last Summer make sense? No.
No. And of course, when she gets taken to the police station, the sheriff. Oh boy.
I don't know why they had to add this scene in there.
Why they had to add this scene? I don't know.
Because it's funny, guys. Laughs.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
It's literally the Jeb Bush please clap moment. That's what it is.
Very.
And we get to see Doofy again being clowned on by his fellow sheriffs, right? And he says, I think he says it to Buffy when she comes over to take Sydney out. It's like, you can't talk to me this way when I have this badge on. Mom said so. Like, okay. Kind of is the same scene with Scream and the Dewey character with David Arquette, but not really. And when Sydney,
I think we mean by not really, I mean, but worse.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. When Sydney comes out, like is taken out, she's been trolled over by Gail, and Gail gets punched in the head, a la Courtney Cox getting punched in the head.
What's odd too is if you notice, just again, I watched it 3 times. I suffered through it because I was trying to get where all the references were for the horror film because I love horror films.
Yeah.
The sheriff's office says it was established and founded in 2017. What that's a reference to, I don't know, but there has to be a reference somewhere.
Do you think they're pulling a Kubrick moment where they put something in the background of a set that could mean something for the movie?
And then he gets killed 3 months later?
I
not
think
that
so.
movie.
No. I mean, yeah, I don't think.
Not that one, but
I think they went that far. I think what they did is literally found a set that kind of fits a like police department, and it was in the background, and they just didn't change it.
But this was shot in 98, 99. It said it was established in 2017.
Oh, then never mind.
Yeah, that's why I'm just like, what the hell? Anyway.
I thought you said 1917.
No, and then there was a clear, if you notice too, there's Doofy has graffitied his name on the side of the building.
Yes.
It's one of so many not so subtle hints that Doofy's actually the killer.
Yeah, kind of.
Subtlety is not the Wayans brothers' forte. I'll just put it that way.
No.
Well, no. Which we come to this, the WhatsApp moment.
Oh, God.
Where he literally calls him to like, I'm gonna kill you. But he's like, Shorty is way too stoned. So he's like, oh, dude, let's talk. Like, what's that? And they do the whole WhatsApp thing, which, you know, in hindsight is not funny.
I mean, it was funny in like 2000.
It was.
Oh, I remember seeing that commercial.
Wasn't it like a Super Bowl commercial at the beginning?
It was.
It was. Okay.
Same with the frogs. Remember the frogs?
Yeah. Budweiser.
Yeah.
Oh, the days where I woke up early in the morning, and fucking actually sat down and watched the Super Bowl. Oh, those days are over.
Yeah.
I mean,
we
Super
get
Bowl.
it pretty much the same time. And it's like, I barely even like care anymore. So there's that.
Well, yeah. The NFL hasn't been great for the last couple of years, to be fair.
My first Super Bowl is the first meeting between Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills. The first time.
Is that
That's probably like 92.
92?
I think it's about 92-ish.
That was the first Super Bowl I watched live.
Okay.
And
First time I paid attention to the Super Bowl was the Chargers and the Niners, because Chargers had been to the first Super Bowl ever, and San Diego never wins anything, so it was a big deal here when it happened. And then we end up getting
blown
out.
Absolutely destroyed them with multiple Super Bowl records that will never, ever be repeated.
I mean, they put up like 28 points in like the first half or something crazy number like that.
Yeah,
it wasn't even
like
close.
A 57-3 or something, or 0. Don't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, good times. Like we said,
some people.
It's
for some people.
It's not really subtle when he gets out of the room and says, "Good night, Cindy." If you pick up on it, good. If you watch it for the very first time, probably not, but it's not very subtle.
Well, if you've noticed too, when Cindy gets the call while at Buffy's, and it's
the vacuum
it's
reference.
The mother. No, it's the mother goes to check on Doofy. It goes, Doofy, and he goes, no, it's not me, before he hangs up.
Oh, okay. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
All I noticed was the vacuum cleaner.
Yes, the vacuum.
Because they do reference the vacuum cleaner. I think Buffy references it.
Buffy references it in the police station, and there's an extra scene at the very end of the film that they just had to throw in there for.
Yeah,
I don't know
exactly. So it comes out of the room, and it's like, okay, it's there because we had to talk about it and then show it. It's literally this.
Yeah. The next scene is actually kind of interesting because, it's Ray and Cindy talking in the lunch line.
Yes.
And they're talking about, it's Ray who says, Cindy, like, doesn't this remind you of Scream? It's literally the same dialogue and everything. No, sorry, Shorty who mentions it. Yeah. Shorty is the one.
Yeah, he comes in and he does I think he's trying to sort of reference the character in Scream, the nerdy guy in Scream that keeps saying to them, "Oh, this is like a horror movie," right? Yeah. The scene where they're in Sydney's house is like, "Oh, remember, don't say I'll be right back because you won't."
Yeah.
And what's his name? Matthew Lillard says, "I'll be right back."
Yeah. Yep.
I'm sorry, but I'm never gonna not laugh at someone wearing a FUBU shirt in the 1990s.
It was a sign of the times.
Mm-hmm. And of course,
because it went really from FUBU to Sean John, right? That was kind of like the transition in the late 90s,
it was like
early 2000s.
FUBU, and then I remember the FUBU knockoff was like Players or something like that, and then somewhere in between there, Sean John became popular too. So yeah.
Oh shit, there are titties in this. I forgot. Sorry, can't show. Oh yeah. Next scene, because Sydney is so distraught, she goes to the coach, and I was like, "Oh,
by the way, has a Nazi uniform in her office."
This is very much of the times. Yes. I'm like, this reminds me so much of the times. It's not even funny.
Yeah. Well, also, just real quick, they did do the mocking of Neve Campbell's running in Scream.
Yes.
When Cindy runs away, and
she's flailing around. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you doing?
Like, okay, that's a good reference because that's how Neve Campbell ran in the first Scream. It's just like, have you ever moved before?
Yeah. It's like someone said "in action," and then she just started like flailing like this. It's like, okay, cut. Like,
to me, I think we kind of discussed it when we talked about when we did the Scream podcast, where you said, "Well, this is referenced later in the Scary Movie." You told me this.
Yeah.
This one is a lot of fun, where the obvious man who's the gym coach walks in, who's like, "Anybody who needs to talk about their feminine things, please walk into my office." Sydney walks into the office. She talks about, everybody's not treating her right, and then he leans back and the balls kind of flop over. And I was like,
see, it was
this
funny
movie,
in 2000. Now it's a hate crime in 2023.
literal hate crime.
Well, and also the one line that Miss Mann says, you know, we all do things to get ahead or cope, to move forward in our lives. Sometimes we even pretend to be someone else to get in an athletic competition. It's like,
and I was like,
can't say that now.
Oh, hello, of the times. Let's have a reference now. Oh, it was a little bit too on the nose. And I think I even said it when I did the Monday Watch Party. I was like, oh, shit, this is too much on the nose. And, of course, we got the Buffy.
Also,
the sarcasm. Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just going to mention right before you went to that is that don't forget that right after that whole thing, we also had a movie called Joanna Man, too, which also plays into a lot of that as well. So.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I forgot about that movie, but now I remember.
Those kind of films now were as bad as what was the name of that film? Oh, I can't remember. Where the white kid did blackface to get into a black college.
God,
we literally.
I know which movie that is. I watched it.
Like the sensibilities that people had toward that film in the late 90s is how we feel about Joanna Man now.
Yeah.
Oh, what? I've seen that movie.
I literally just did a movie night not that long ago. Now I can't even remember what it was called.
Yeah.
Anyway,
wasn't a good film to begin with, but just the premise of it's
it was literally trying to
Soul Man.
Soul Man. It was literally trying to critique the fact that the colleges are doing that in order to tokenize black people.
Yeah, like literally the whole point of the movie is that it was making fun of racial stereotypes in the way that we view each other, and then people lost sight of that entirely. Be like, "Oh, this movie is racist." It's like, what?
No, it was a literal social commentary, a valid social commentary wrapped around a very lighthearted,
like the film is literally
comedy.
mocking racism, and you guys are so
So we had the sarcasm killings. However, her head is still talking after it's been cut off.
Oh no, I'm dead.
Yeah. Which kind of, it really mocks Sarah Michelle Gellar to me. It really does. But, mocking is a form of, compliment. Oh yeah, this scene where Regina Hall dresses up sort of like a man, and Ray is really trying to get her to do him from the back.
Yeah, and calls her Brandon at one point.
There's just a take it, Brandon. What?
Yeah, Brandon. Who's Brandon? And yeah.
This is. I always put it this way. This is definitely not a very LGBTQ friendly film. I'm pretty sure that the modern scholars would have lots and lots of problematic elements of this movie.
Oh yeah, especially with the glory hole.
Glory hole later, yeah.
Oh,
That's actually just spoofing Scream 2, because that's the first kill in Scream 2.
Yeah. Of course, Miss Gail Hailstorm goes out to Nookie Peak. I don't even remember the name of the place. And Heather is sitting there by herself because, of course, she is, and gets killed for it. As Gail is looking at literally trying to interview the killer, which is a nice touch, but it didn't make me laugh at all.
No, the only thing that was kind of about that was the fact that she mentioned oh yeah, that we heard a noise. My boyfriend went out to go look for it. It has been 10 minutes though.
Yeah. But yeah,
playing on that classic trope. So.
And of course, we get to one of the most stereotypical scenes of the entire movie.
Well, no, they had the Blair Witch thing before that too, which Blair Witch had just come out, so it was the big movie.
Yeah, when Gail is literally interviewing him, he kills Heather. Then he literally goes after the cameraman and Gail's kind of going into the bushes and doing the whole the most famous bit from the Blair Witch Project, which is the snot going down and crying and all that stuff. And then we go to this Amistad 2.
Okay, I stop right there. I don't know if you can catch it.
Let me try.
It's the PVU.
It's the what?
The rated I for immature before that.
That's gonna be tough to get.
I'm thinking to myself while I'm watching this, it's like, you guys remember the film I'm Gonna Get You Sucker? King Iron
Yes.
Wayans in the
Yes.
late 80s. And I'm thinking to myself, where did we go wrong? Because that film was absolutely hilarious. Maybe it was just the people that he had around him at that time who I guess were a bit more mature, not put up with so much immaturity, but it's like this one's just like, what's going on?
I guess maybe he lost all of his creative drive after In Living Color got canceled for the final time. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
You want this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Following PVU. What's PVU?
PVU. It's supposed to. It's at a preview.
Get it? P-
Oh, okay. I like dick and fart jokes, like the average guy.
An occasional one, not like a 90-minute movie full of them.
Yeah, that was basically all just dick and fart jokes. Essentially.
The thing about the joke with the Amistad with the Keenan Ivory Wayans is when I was watching it this week, I forgot this bit ever existed. They walked into Shakespeare in Love and I was like, I don't think they're going to have the actual Shakespeare in Love on the screen. It was actually Shakespeare in Love. Then I remembered, yeah, this is Dimension. This is literally Miramax.
Yes.
Right? So why they
is so funny
don't
too,
need permission.
So funny because it's Miramax and Dimension. That's the reason why they were able to get away with such like direct parodies. And even at one point in time, they directly quote both I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream because they were both made by Dimension and Miramax.
And like I said, when this came, this fake trailer came out, I literally forgot it existed. And when he did the "I'm the king of the world," I literally wanted to like, wait, that thing, and then it came up. It's like, that's what I remember. I remember this joke.
Your brain was trying to suppress
time.
it, then it just popped back in.
It's a stolen Robin Williams joke. Mm-hmm. It's literally lifted out of Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a shame. So, yeah, and the thing is, once Ray goes to the bathroom, Regina is being the most stereotypical black individual in the theater. Loud, noisy, doesn't know what's going on the screen, screaming, shouting, hollering, all that stuff, all the stuff that I know of just because Chris Rock is a fantastic stand-up comic. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, this would go way over my head as an obnoxious individual in the theater.
Yeah.
Well, as someone who's listened to a lot of black comedians in the 1990s, this is always the running joke that black people just couldn't shut up in a movie theater. So good to see that 30 years later.
They're just like, hey, dead horse.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, Ray suffered a non-fatal injury by somebody sticks a dick up his ear, which is fun.
I guess you could say he gave good head. Jacob, please come back. Well, see, that's a line that I thought would actually have been in the film.
What, Jacob come back?
No, the give good headline.
So we get that Regina Hall's character, Brenda, gets killed, and we move on to this.
So it's everything with the party too.
Yeah, everything with Anna Ferris, Sydney, and Bobby getting tongue-tied, and then sorry, hold on. Getting tongue-tied, and then, of course, doing their first act, which you don't necessarily want from your final girl. You don't want your final girl to be not a virgin.
Yeah, well, that kills the entire point of horror lore. But I mean, you know, you would expect someone smart to know that, and clearly from the people who are responsible for this film, that's asking way too much.
Yeah. They basically just copied and pasted this entire point from Scream. That's all they did. So
yeah,
the thing was the garage scene as well.
Yeah, the scene is literally broken between going from this scene, the lovemaking scene, and the stoner with Shorty and the killer, where they literally make a bong out of an aquarium, which was fun. As soon as they do that, door opens, killer walks in, and of course, because they're stoned, they don't know what the fuck is going on. They just, you know, puff, and move.
And they all get on the action.
And get on the action, and of course, they change the mask to make sure you'll see the emotion of the guy, where he goes all crazy and stoned out of his mind. And of course, Bobby gets his thing sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And when he turns Sydney over, takes out her panties, there's the
bush, yeah.
The 80s bush, because I think this is the only reference to the old 80s movies. I think maybe this is what I was watching, and it's like, maybe a shout out.
I think you may be putting more thought into it than the writers did.
Yeah, yes. Maybe it's like the slasher movies of the 80s, but that's basically the only reference to the slasher movies of the 80s.
There was just
apart from the Halloween bit, maybe.
Yeah. There was one reference that directly just mimics American Pie, when they actually are starting to have sex. It's like, the whole pitch line is exactly what happened at the end of American Pie with Jason Biggs.
Yeah, it's the Say My Name, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Sydney. Okay, got it. And of course, when he pops off, she pops off, and he's drained, which was a fun effect.
Yeah. The only thing that was kind of funny about that entire scene was before, when they actually did a full fourth wall break. Like,
where she gets stuck in the camera?
No, where they actually pan out, because because this is what the script says. And see, there's the and the cameraman, and there's the boom guy. It's like,
and then we move on to they're doing a freestyle, and once he goes into his freestyle, he just literally slashes and dashes and kills every single one of them.
That scene was actually somewhat clever. I won't crap on him for that.
Yeah,
you say his freestyle was killer.
You're making me do this.
Jacob's like, I'm out of here. I've had enough of this.
Wait. I'll do this.
Yes. And then I think killer also did, while he was smoking pot, he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the I See Dead People reference, which, again, not gonna lie, I thought was clever to put it in, because he was fully on stoned, and he has the smoking breath, but it kind of looks like the chill breath.
The chill breath, yeah.
It was fun. And then we get the full, after Bobby had some sex, Sydney had some sex, the full reveal, which is a la Scream, where Bobby is revealed to be one of the killers and Ray was revealed to be the other killer. And they tell her about how they kidnap his her dad, and her dad is being wheeled in like ball gags and all that stuff. But it seems to the joke is he was already in that when they kidnapped him. And we get I can't really get the exact point.
But wait, yes, more. The spitting line to mock Matthew Lillard. And they also have where they're mocking the horror films, like, oh yeah, especially that one fat Jamaican guy in one of the I Know What You Did Last Summers.
Yeah,
that was Jack Black, by the way.
And I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I believe it's 2. Yes, where they go to a resort. Yeah, he plays a fat white Jamaican, like a guy trying to do a Jamaican accent who's a stoner. Yeah, that happened.
Wow, I haven't seen that movie in a while.
The second one's
not a good film
to me.
But the thing is, Ray kills Bobby basically, and then
doing the one line again that made me laugh out loud about the canceling the Wayans shows.
And then he gets killed as well by the real killer, and then we get this whole Matrix spoof. Yeah, Matrix spoof where Sydney is literally the last girl standing, and they do and remember, this is 2000s, so in the 2000s we had this as the Matrix spoof, and we had Shrek doing the same thing, and Shrek came out 2001.
Yeah,
but it was sort of the same era where everybody loved that bit in Matrix.
Well, everybody was spoofing the bullet time thing. There were countless films that did it. Yeah.
Let me get a good picture. Let me see. Oh, there it is. Got it.
Yeah, the jumping kick
the jump kick by Trinity, and then of course the bullet time with the tray.
Mm-hmm.
And of course he gets stuck in this whole, oh, my back is out. And we kind of, get a resolve with the sheriff coming in. And then we get the last scene. And we'll stop here, I guess. It's a good time to have a palate cleanser, because we're going to do our second game of the night. It is called Screen Fighter.
Round 1, fight.
Screen Fighter is where we take two movies, pit them together, and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference between the two, both of them are good, both of them are bad, we go into our criteria. We fall on our criteria, which is Saturday evening, Friday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, out with your significant other. Two movies in a vacuum. Which one will we pop in as I try to close my VLC and bring up the whole flick chart thing, because it is wild. We went for parodies. It took me a while to get a parody on this pair, but I got it, and it was a good pairing. So, Jacob, Robin Hood, Men in Tights, which is a parody, and Constantine.
Wait, Constantine's not a parody?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going with Men in Tights then. Just based on the criteria. So.
It's fair.
Feelings? You don't have to pick the parody.
Well, it's actually, but that's one of the better ones.
I know.
Yeah, that's the issue.
I gotta be honest with you, I just wasn't really that impressed with Constantine, even when it came out like years ago. It was that weird area where it was like they were trying to figure out what to do with Keanu, like post Matrix, and then they were also like slowly trying to make Shia LaBeouf a thing, and then that thing didn't take off till years later, and even that failed after the fact. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. We got Paul with Men in Tights. We got DK with Men in Tights.
I would also go with that, and also Constantine's one of the worst comic book adaptations ever committed to film. It's pretty bad.
I'm gonna pick Robin Hood, Men in Tights. The thing with me is, I kind of like Constantine. I know it's not a great movie and all, but I kind of like Constantine, and to me, I think if you read Constantine the comic book, you would not like Constantine, the movie. No. They have very little to do with each other. I mean, some, but
what's interesting too is this is when they tried to make Gavin Rossdale an actor, the lead singer of Bush.
Oh,
yeah.
Didn't work.
Children
of Men or A Fish Called Wanda. I like the Fish Called Wanda poster. I've never seen it before. So
yeah, it's a tough one for me. I mean, generally, I think I just like A Fish Called Wanda slightly better than Children of Men, not by much. But,
Okay, feelings?
Yeah,
I would also go with that because Children of Men is what I don't think you would call that an enjoyable watch. Like, I'm going to sit down and have a really good afternoon. I'm going to put on Children of Men.
And weren't we talking about that too? The whole like. I feel like we brought this up like a few months back about how it was Jamie Lee Curtis like trying to do things like outside of Halloween, like trying to reach that like family friendly type audience. It was like that movie, and then it was like House Arrest, and there was a couple other ones like in between there too. So
yeah, but her first kind of role going out of the whole horror genre and the scream queen genre is Trading Places. Where later on she did, I think it was Blue Steel, which is a sort of a cop mystery drama.
Yeah.
And A Fish Called Wanda is literally coming back to doing the same kind of thing she did in Trading Places, where she didn't play the main character, but not really. She played a semi-main character of she's interacting with the main leads. And it worked for me. I like Children of Men. Clive Owen does a fantastic job at it, but I will go with Fish Called Wanda. Rush Hour 3 or Jacob's Ladder.
Two diametrically opposed films.
Jesus.
I mean, Jacob's Ladder is a really good film. It's not the best, but it's a really good film.
I vaguely remember rewatching recently, like the first 20 minutes of Rush Hour 3 on Tubi, and I was not impressed. So, almost by default, which is sad to say, I think I'm gonna go with Jacob's Ladder. Plus, my name's in the title, so there you go. Too.
Yeah, me too. Rush Hour 3 is garbage.
Yeah, I would watch Jacob's Ladder, even though, again, it's not exactly what I would call a fun film.
Aren't they working on Rush Hour 4 too? Or has not already been shot?
Yep, I don't know if they're in post production or not, but I know they were going to make it. So
look, dude, I just saw Chris Tucker and what was the film Air, that Ben Affleck movie not too long ago. And look, I know Jackie Chan has to be like 70 something at this point. It's like, guys, why? It's like when they try to do like the Power Rangers reboot, and they're all in their 50s now. It's like, guys, you gotta let it go at some point.
Yeah. Oh god, can you imagine Jackie Chan trying to do those stunts that he's doing?
Yeah, now it's like 80-year-old man.
You're gonna die.
Would break. You could literally hear the man break. Grizzly Man or Chocolat? I'm gonna do. Haven't seen it on Grizzly Man.
Okay, well, good, because quite frankly,
great.
That's awesome. A very, very tragic film.
Speaking about tragedy, Apocalypto or Chocolat? Which one will you pick?
Well, now that Apocalypto has joined the frame, I'm automatically going with the Mel Gibson movie over Chocolat.
Okay.
Yeah, it was going to be a toss-up for me beforehand. I was literally going to pull out a coin and figure out which movie I was going to choose. But now that Apocalypto's there, it's like, yeah, I'll definitely go with that one. I vaguely remember Chocolat being that... is that the Oscar Beatty movie, or is that the other one that came out in 2000? I remember something in between, like American Beauty.
No, American Beauty was 99. I like Chocolat for what it is, but if it's the pick between these two, I'm gonna go with Apocalypto. Again, not my favorite Mel Gibson movie. Directorially, I mean, but it's got a little bit more than I want from a film than Chocolat. Chocolat, I'm telling you right now, I've seen at least 4 or 5 times more than I've seen Apocalypto. Just because married. Feelings?
That's fair. It's also a great Japanese poster for Shangri-La. Side note.
Yeah.
My issue with Apocalypto is the same issue that I had with 10,000 BC.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean, which is basically you're trying to do a historical documentary, but it's not based on, it's based on something real, but it takes it into a whole different realm of real. Yeah.
I mean, movies like that could be a battle of attrition as well. So, I mean, that's probably
very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I would rather watch Apocalypto, to be fair. So,
All right. Last pairing, Transformers. It's the original Michael Bay one and The Fox and the Hound.
The story of two friends who eventually end up trying to murder each other. Yeah.
Yes.
And then there's Fox and the Hound. No. Yeah.
Correct.
I don't know. Because I remember like the first Transformers movie was somewhat decent, like for its time, before it just went completely off the rails. Because I think every other Transformer movies after that one was just like an abomination. But I don't know. I think I might just go with the Fox and the Hound out of this one because I mean, you know, let's just put it this way: everyone who starred in Transformers, their careers pretty much like went off of a cliff immediately following the end of Transformers. Michael Bay.
That's very interesting and very, very true. Feelings?
That's actually one of my favorite films as a child growing up, so I'll just have to give that for nostalgia's sake.
I can't believe The Fox and the Hound is going to win this. I fucking hate that movie so much. But they didn't destroy that movie didn't destroy my childhood like stuff. I loved G1 Transformers. Transformers by Michael Bay is a travesty, an abomination, and I hope it dies in hell in a big Michael Bay explosion. Okay?
You didn't like Shia LaBeouf's parents in the Transformers movies?
Why invent a new character? Why can't you use Spike? Call him Spike.
Because they were trying to make because Steven Spielberg was trying to make Shia LaBeouf a megastar, and then that lasted for all of 5 years when they realized.
Speaking of Shia LaBeouf, I mean, it's the Blair Witch Project by fucking default. I mean, I don't even like Blair Witch Project, but it wins on fucking default. Cool. So, feelings. You said you wanted to discuss something about a scene before the last scene.
Yeah, but I think Jacob, you had a point. So, take it away, bud.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna bring up something totally unrelated. I know if you want to take a couple of minutes because I just legitimately just broke to me a couple of minutes ago. But how do you guys feel about that upcoming Fantastic Four movie that we have coming out?
Why are they doing it again?
It's all down to the casting.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's the news that I brought out here. TMZ is now running with this line saying that Disney is in talks with Mila Kunis for the Fantastic Four role. Now, you think to yourself, oh, okay, maybe she could do a halfway decent Sue Storm, no big problem there. No, they're casting her for The Thing.
I've seen it on Discussing Film. I've seen it. I was like... And you know what line they were going with in their article is, oh, all the nerds are going to be very upset when Mila Kunis actually is cast as the Thing. They're doing it again. They're literally antagonizing their main base audience, the comic book reader who has been comic book reader for a very long time and excited to see his comic book on screen, where the first one didn't do so well, second one, blah, but whatever. And then you get the new recast one, which was fucking disaster. And now you're trying to reboot it for the second time in less than 20 years. You have to hit the fucking the casting here exactly on point. And if you don't do that, you are a fucking DOA, like Paul Harley said in the chat. This is awful. This is fucking
what I find
awful.
interesting is Meph. You know, I've read I've been loyal to reading comics for many decades now. I'm not even angry. I'm just confused.
It's hostile casting. That's what it feels like, right? It's like they're doing it like usually casting decisions would be you go, oh wow, I can't wait to see how that movie turns out. Now it's like, oh god, really? This is what you guys are doing, and then they know that the casting announcement is going to get a negative reaction, so they're trying to jump on top of it by saying, oh no, you're the one who's the problem here. By saying, did you have a problem with this? Why wouldn't Mila Kunis be a perfect casting for The Thing?
I mean, TikTok on the clock to them going all istophobes on everybody. Like,
yeah,
I'm not talking about the out there everybody. The literal people who would want to see the next one, they're gonna go istophobes on these people.
And look, at the end of the day, when there's a realistic possibility that Jonathan Majors might go to jail and he's your main villain for the next 4 years, maybe it's not the best time to roll out this casting in hopes to save your film franchise moving forward.
Nope.
Do you know who they're going to get for Johnny Blaze?
Who cares at this point?
Fucking Ezra Miller.
Wait, you mean... Oh God! You mean first of all, you mean Johnny Storm? Johnny Blaze was Ghost Rider.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
Just because he is the Human Torch.
He's a flaming...
Well, to be fair, Ezra Miller did set his career on fire. So
yes,
yeah,
definitely.
Good casting.
So he's definitely going to be cast as Johnny Storm because he's flaming. All right, so we got the cool.
Thanks, Jacob. I have a headache now.
Then we have the cool, like usual suspects moment where the sheriff and Sydney kind of talk in the office after Doofy walks off. The whole the
play with the coffee
cup. Yeah, the coffee cup that gets broken, and you see Doofy kind of walks weird, a la Kaiser Soze, and then he becomes the confident man. Now, I only noticed this time around watching this. Do you know who the actor is? It's the same actor as and we're going to touch upon that in a few months. The movie Copycat.
Oh,
he played the serial killer in the movie Copycat, which that's what I said. I think they in certain aspects they kind of nailed the casting here. So he walks off and he goes into the car with Gale Hailstorm, which obviously they're a couple in Scream. However, they're kind of a weird sociopathical kind of couple in this one, so why not pair them up in the end anyways? And they just drive off into the sunset.
Well, they end up together in Scream anyway, so they're just playing off that,
and they're playing off that, but they also turn into much more of a sociopath that she actually is.
Yeah,
but they do set it up from the start, and yeah, we got this. The end credit scene.
Like I said, it's one of those bits that still holds up. Like, this is actually pretty clever the way they set everything up, and then it's like the reveal is
reveal is them raiding over the shop.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's very 2022 as well.
All you needed was a cargo logo in the background.
Yeah. It goes around and around, and it lands up in your feet. And
the more things change, the more they stay the same, my friend.
You are absolutely fucking correct. That is it for this movie.
Well, they have one more scene at the end, which if you wait until it's literally about right when it's about to smash cut to black, and the Dimensions film logo is about to show up, where Doofy is having a breakup scene with the vacuum cleaner.
Yes.
Why would they have that scene input now when they just show Doofy being cool at the end? It's like,
don't know.
Like I said, you're putting more thought into it than the writers.
I know.
What I think is they were just going for a cheap laugh. They were just gonna suck on that teat just one more time.
I think that what they were trying to do is they're trying to play off the typical expectation of comedies at the time, that they all in the late 90s, early 2000s all had a post-credit scene where they had one more gag. It really started like most prominently with American Pie, and then going from there in 98 through the early 2000s, they were doing that. They even had one in Not Another Teen Movie.
Yeah. The thing is, it was either that or going with the blooper reel, like in the Jim Carrey comedies. Like all of them have.
That's true.
The not the post credit scene, but as the credits are rolling, you get the bloopers because Jim Carrey is Jim Carrey. Yeah. What were you going to say, Jacob?
I was going to say, so I'm not sure this is like a rating system that we're doing here, but I think we can all agree that the movie we reviewed last week was far better than this one, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
By a lot.
And I felt the same. Like when I do the watch parties, I don't normally do them with the movie that we're about to cover. This time around, just because I knew I had a little bit of time constraints to watch these two movies, I was like, okay, I'm going to slap and do the thing. I went to watch myself, which I hate doing, but I went to watch myself watching not another teen movie. And I was like, I was visibly either smiling or absolutely laughing out loud while that movie's it goes on. And I was very much communicative with the chat or with whoever was watching, opposed to Scary Movie, where I was literally repeating myself over and over and over again, talking about, oh, this is Scream. Oh, this is not another. No. I Know What You Did Last Summer. So I was going back and forth. I was like, yeah, this is fun. This is, if I was a chat member, this was fun watching this thing with myself. Mm-hmm. But the other one would be way more enjoyable, way more funny to have this sort of a party where you watch this movie with other people. And again, when you see a person laughing out loud, it's very infectious. And you get to have that experience with Not Another Teen Movie and less of that experience while watching Scary Movie.
It depends, because a couple months ago, we had a movie night where we were watching Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Spoiler alert, not a good film. And one of our guys decided that he was going to laugh hysterically at the ending. And we all just kind of looked at him as if we were in the same room. We would probably jump him right that very moment. So it very much depends on the style of laughing.
I mean, when there's when you get a joke hit or reference hit, and everybody gets it, and everybody like rolls around, fucking chucking their popcorn in the air, kind of laughing. Yeah. That there were more moments in Not Another Teen Movie, as opposed to Scary Movie. It's not like the jokes weren't there. The jokes were there, and it was funny, but not rolling my eyes out, rolling my head out, laughing. Apart from the fucking joke with the black people, because
I think Jacob, you kind of nailed it too at one point, where again it is clearly for a specific audience, and I think also too how you mentioned the fact that they're just they're trying to make sure that the reference is the joke itself, not that they're making a joke that also includes a reference. So, because I think Not a Teen Movie, the reason why that aged better is because the jokes are genuinely just jokes. They're not like, do you remember this thing? You should laugh at it.
like I said, reference
Yeah.
jokes. Like I said, become very, very dated. It's basically like the spoof movies that came out like years after this, like the epic movie and the super. I'm like, those movies are like nothing but like an hour and a half of just like references to like other films. Yeah.
Oh,
that's literally all it
epic
is.
movie. Remember Meet the Spartans? That was a thing that happened.
Kind of feels Scary Movie 2 holds up better because it references more classic horror in The Exorcist and House of the Haunted Hill. Yes, correct. I think so too. It has more references. I need to rewatch them because the only one I kind of remember is number 4, where they half spoof War of the Worlds, which is not a horror movie at all.
Was that the one with Charlie
They reference
Sheen?
the Tom. One half of it is Anna Ferris and Regina Hall doing their weird Amish thing, and the other one is the guy I don't remember the name of, but he kind of looks like Brendan Fraser, kind of, but he does the Tom Cruise War of the World movie, kind of reference to that. And it's like, that's not really a part of, like, it's not a horror movie. And the third one, I don't even remember what the third one was about.
The third one was the one where they basically just mocked signs, and I do believe that was the one with Charlie Sheen in it as the protagonist.
It could be. It
I
could be.
think
The second one is the haunted mansion and the guy with the small hands,
The butler,
where he mixes the mashed potatoes and all that. The one with what's her face, Tori Spelling. And that's the second one. Yeah, it was. It has a lot more references and a lot more stuff from the sort of from the past, The Exorcist, the House on Haunted Hill, and what was the name? Poltergeist as well.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's basically the end of the show. That's the end of the month. Yeah. So we're moving on to the next month, where next month, because it's May, and in May we kind of celebrate kind of our anniversary. So we decided, let's call it a best friends month. And we start off with I Love You Man, Paul Rudd and Jason Segel. And Jason Segel. A fun watch because managed to watch it already. I'm going to watch it again this week. It's a very, very fun watch.
Fun movie.
Very Paul Rudd movie, I would say. Very, very Paul Rudd movie. But before that, Jacob, please tell us what's going on with you. What's happening?
So a couple things I got coming up. Tonight we're actually going to be doing a movie night at about 10 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be watching Martin Lawrence Blue Streak tonight on Twitch and on Rumble. Nice. So that's a good one. And then we're doing another one this Monday night, and we're going to be watching the 1994 film Street Fighter. So we got 2 movies coming up this week back to back.
Raul Julia's last performance. Oh.
Yeah. The movie that was not supposed to even be Street Fighter and became Street Fighter.
Yeah, so that's going to be a very, very interesting experience on Monday night. Then Tuesday, Barroom Podcast. I think it's episode 46 we're coming up on this week. Bounding into Comics every Wednesday night. We do a Black Pill stream talking about the world of entertainment on Wednesday nights. And then try to catch up on the mountain of work that I need to catch up on because it's a lot. So, yeah. So
guys, go ahead and go to Society Reviews and sub to this man because he's doing a great job. I haven't flashed it before, but what the hell? Let's do it now. If you want to interact with the show, you want to interact with me, come on the Monday Watch Party, come on the pre-weekend show, or just watch me show up on other people's podcasts because it's been happening a lot lately and it's weird for me. At me on Twitter, at Meffistoe, at me on Instagram, at Meffistoe79. And you can always email the show at the Reel McCoy podcast at gmail.com. For this show, for the Monday show, for the Thursday show, all those shows, go to that email and just give me whatever you want. Suggestions on movies, suggestions on this show, or if you want to become a guest, call me. We'll do something. We'll do something. All right. We will be off, but this entire stream is going to be redirected into the Legion of Memers stream because those are good friends of ours. So from me, from Jacob, all my feelings, have a great weekend and a good night. You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.